The dark void awaits you.
Hello guys, and welcome to another video with me, Razor. Guys, what I wanted to talk about today is one of the CCs that we have as priests, and one of the major ones that we have, obviously, as you guys would know, is a fear. Now guys, fear is is a subject that has kind of really interested me in terms of how it compares to other CC in the game. And a lot of people say actually fear is probably one of the most overpowering CCs because you never know when it's going to break. Sometimes you can take tons of damage and it doesn't break. However guys, what I've actually come to notice from testing is that most people that say that actually are referring to a warrior's fear, because priest fear is probably nowhere near as damage absorbent as a warrior's fear. Now warriors, because obviously it's a much longer cooldown at 3 minutes, their fear, what they may not tell you on the tooltip, Blizzard, is the fact that their fear will probably break a lot later than our fear as priests. Now I'm going to demonstrate this. Obviously that's the point where I'm making this video. It's not just to be me rambling on about it. Being on the Timeless Isle, you get a buff called Chi-Ji's Hope, which increases your critical strike rating by 25%, as well as a haste of mastery. And having Yulon's Bite also gives you a massive buff to your crit, and if they go together you can crit almost every shot. What I noticed while doing this, guys, is that Priest Fear really depends on when you're going to next crit. So if you're critting, you're going to break fear, which means that if you do more damage, you're going to break fear. Now before I go on, I want to just demonstrate this on a mob. Now remember, this is a mob, so it should be taking more damage than usual because players take less damage. And also remember that this is a mob, so CC will probably last longer on it, apart from Psychic Scream, which is the same, but Siphene will probably cast about a 30-second fear as opposed to only a 7-second or 8-second fear. Now I'm going to start off by just putting a couple of dots on there, and as you know, as I said, Yulon's Bite has procced, and I'm going to be causing a lot of crits. As you saw, guys, just there, I crit once, and I'm going to do it again. Fear, crit, breaks. So I've just cast 2 fear, guys. 2 fear. 1 from Siphene and 1 from Psychic Scream. And both together didn't last nowhere near their time. They both lasted about a second and then broke on the second. And the reason why, guys, is it seems to me that Blizzard has put it into the game that fear will break every time a crit is caused by the priest. And you may say this is coincidence. I'm going to show you again. I'm putting my dots on there, getting charged. Right, so I'm going to put the Fiend down, and the Fiend is going to send him into fear. As you saw, fear breaks straight away. What happened? It was just a crit, and it wasn't even me critting with Mind Blast like I just did there. It was me critting with a very small amount of damage from a dot. Now I'm going to fear again, wait for the crit, and it stops, as you saw there. 27k crit, and the fear is over. Now I don't know why this happens, guys. Obviously I think it's meant to be breaking on massive damage, but sometimes I mean, something is definitely wrong there, because sometimes the damage that I'm doing, I mean, this is a mob. I mean, I'm doing a lot of damage in PvP gear on a mob. However, being a mob is going to take a lot more damage. Being an enemy player, you'll take a lot less damage. Now if I'm critting an enemy player for something like 10k from a tick, and that breaks fear, is that really fair? I mean, I'll leave you guys to judge that, or on the basis of what you just saw. But that's what I kind of noticed. I noticed that actually fear isn't always it doesn't always break randomly, and there isn't a threshold of amount of damage it absorbs before it will break. However, a lot of people will tell you fear is one of the most OP CC. Now, those people that tell you that are probably referring to a warrior fear, because warrior fear being on a longer cooldown may not state on the tooltip that it will last longer, but it just does. Because I think Blizzard realized that a warrior's cooldown of fear is a lot. Obviously, when they do consume it, it's going to cost them a lot because it's one of their major CCs, and it needs to be a lot more efficient. However, be that as it may, I still feel that any crit we cause as a Shadow Priest to break fear seems really unfair. I mean, guys, come on. I mean, our stats go from hit to intellect to haste and crit. So crit is one of our major stats. We need to have crit. I mean, we don't massively need to stack crit, but it is the stat that we need after we have haste. So haste, crit, mastery. Some people might say, no, actually I prefer to go mastery after haste, or maybe even mastery after, some people that might think mastery is better than haste as well. But whichever way you look at it, crit has got to be there. Why? Because we are a spell caster, and we are going to be doing damage, and we need to have more critical strike rating, more critical strike damage, and overall crits have to happen. Now in PvE that might not matter, but in PvP, if you have a lot of crit, it means that you will have less effectiveness from your fears. And this just doesn't seem at all fair to me, guys. I mean, let's just take a little bit of just a bit of a moment to compare it to, let's say, a rogue. Now, a rogue will have 4 combo points on you, or 5 combo points on you, and a rogue will use his, I believe it's called kidney shot, and kidney shot will put you into a stun for about 5 or 6 seconds, which is roughly around the same time as the fear. Now, he's free to cast Vendetta, he's free to cast Shadow Blades, and he's free to do backstabs and whatever else he wants to do. The only restriction he has is his resource, which is his energy, which is the same as us. It's obviously our resource is mana as opposed to energy. But all of this is happening, and he's bursting like hell inside of this CC that he has, which is a stun. Now, you can't break it in any way unless you're a mage. Now, consider this as well, guys. As a fear, it can be broken by Death Knights, it can be broken by warriors on very short cooldowns, it can be broken by hunters, and it can be broken by most other 2 trinket classes, the classes that have that ability to break it, as well as priests and shamans. Obviously priests have Fear Ward, but it's kind of a way of breaking it as well. Shamans obviously have Tremor Totem. And don't forget, there is a whole race of Horde that can break it by using their ability of whatever it's called. I think it's something of the Forsaken or something like that. To be honest, I don't remember. I've not played Horde for a while. But all of these abilities to break, I mean, stun can be usually quite easily dodged by a Mage's Blink, but then very rarely by anything else. Not unless you trinket. Same when it comes to charm. Well, not charm. Same when it comes to, for example, like sleep effects. Same when it comes to disorient. You know what I mean? I mean, it's fine if a CC says on the tooltip that it will break on the basis of taking damage. That's absolutely fine, because you base your skill and your movement on the fact that if you use this ability, you must not cause any damage. But with fear, technically, it's understood that it will take damage as well as CC the target. It's almost like a soft stun. But for priests, it doesn't work that way. Because for priests, as soon as you cause a crit, no matter what the crit is, whether it's a small crit or a large crit, it will break. Purely because you've caused a crit. Which I think just seems really, really unfair. And as I will demonstrate here again, guys. As you saw there, not even a second of crit. Not even a second of fear happened before this mob was able to break off fear. Now, I'm going to send him here as you see again. I mean, Psyfiend feared it, and I wasn't even able to speak to say, you know, watch for the break in the fear, because it broke straight away, because I am constantly critting with this buff. Now, you guys might think, you know, it might be different in PvP, but believe me, as an experienced priest, as a priest who's been playing for a long time, it happens in PvP. I demonstrated it with a monk friend of mine the other day, where I feared him and I crit him through Mind Blast, and it broke the fear straight away. Now, obviously, I'll put this video out there so you guys can have a little bit of an insight into how fear works. It's definitely not the same as other fears, guys. You know, our fear is probably the weakest of CCs in the game, the way I see it at the moment, in my opinion, because of this. I don't know if it's a bug or it's, you know, it's meant to be, but because of this and what you've just seen in this video, I think it probably is the weakest CC. Because us, you know, for example, us to be able to pull off a lot of damage in arena, we need to go in there. Sometimes with warriors at the moment, with DKs, with rogues, we just cannot cast because of the interrupts and the spell reflex and the numerous types of different things that it can do to us. Most of the time we have to dot everything to be able to get the procs, to be able to get the mana back, and if we are going to get, you know, if we're going to put a proc on everyone and we're going to use CC as a reliable, we're going to use fear, sorry, as a reliable CC, and then we get a break in it every time we crit in one of those dots that we're putting on various different enemies, then it really isn't very reliable at all. Please, guys, give me your feedback. Tell me what you think. Tell me if there is anything else that you want to add, maybe, and if you want me to add in the next video, maybe regarding the subject, I can do that as well. And I just want to say thanks a lot, guys, for all the support you've given me. It's been absolutely brilliant. I know there's been a bit of a gap in the series at the moment with me doing duels, but believe me, guys, I'm going to be dueling one hell of a major class when it comes to, you know, us against them, really, and that's going to be I'll introduce that in very near future, but stay tuned for that, and I promise it will be very exciting, and I promise you guys will enjoy it. And take care.